Hello everyone. In this video, we will talk about the sketch concepts and why sketches are important. And we are in the home page of Autodesk Inventor 2024. We're using the default project file, and we're going to go ahead and click on the Part New drop-down menu here and click on Part. Again, we can do the same thing on the left side as well. And once we create the part, it just is going to assign part one, part two, part three. So I created two parts before this one and before this video. So that's why it's naming it part three. If you close this and create another part, it's going to name it as part four. Of course, when you save it, it's going to ask you to rename it and you can name the part the way you like it. So in this mode, the inventor is ready. It is asking us it is asking us to create the 2D sketch. Because before we create any 3D object, we have to come from a 2D sketch. That's why it's critical. And that's why we need to understand why sketches are important. In a lot of videos, they just show people how to draw a line or circles and rectangles, but what are they good for? So in this video, we're just going to talk about why the sketches are important before we go into details. So we can click on 2D sketch on the left top corner, or we can right click and click on new sketch. And then it is going to ask us to select a plane. We can select XY plane. We can select YZ plane. We can select XZ plane, and you have access to those planes on the feature manager here, on the feature tree here, on under origin tab. And for this video, we're going to click on XY plane, and it's going to bring that to the normal to the screen, and this is our origin point in the middle. So we can click on rectangle here again on this menu, or we can right click and select 2-point rectangle, and we can just select the origin here, and with the middle scroll wheel of your mouse, you can kind of drag the screen around, and you can uh, just select any point on the screen and create a rectangle. And let's say we're done, we can click on Finish Sketch, or we can right click and click on Finish Sketch. And that's gonna bring the view cube here to this isometric view. And you can, again, drag it around with the middle scroll wheel of your mouse, or you can double click with the middle scroll wheel, and that's gonna center the sketch you created. So now the sketch is created. I know we did not dimension it or anything. We just created a sketch just to play with. And now we can extrude that by clicking here on the extrude button on the top, or again, we can right click and select extrude, and it is going to bring us this extrude menu here, and it automatically selected the only available sketch that is a closed sketch. If it's not closed, it's not going to select it, or it's not going to be able to extrude it. So it automatically selected this one and assigned 10 millimeters. Of course, we can change that by clicking here and change it to 5 millimeters. Or here, we can just change it to, say, 20 millimeters by clicking here. Or you can just drag this arrow back and forth, and you can manually adjust adjust how much you want to extrude this sketch. So now let's say we want it to be 10 millimeter, and we created this extrude. And now what we can do is we can just go to the feature tree on the left, and you see that extrusion is created. And if you click on the plus sign, it will show you the sketch that you used to create that extrusion. So now you can double click on that sketch option here, which is named as sketch 1. I recommend always click on the icon, not the text here. If you click on the text, and it can kind of select the text, and it would ask you to rename it, which you can do if you want to specify each sketch, and that can be pretty useful if you're working on a complicated design. But if you want to open the sketch, I would recommend clicking on the icon, and that's going to bring the sketch you worked on before. Now you can just create, say, another rectangle in the middle, and then you can select Finish 2D Sketch. Nothing happens because the extrusion now it is selecting the initial selection that you determined, which was the bigger rectangle, and it's not going to recognize the other sketch you created, other rectangle you created in the middle. So you can always delete this. You can delete the profiles and go back to the beginning. Now the extrusion is grayed out. Now it is not automatically selecting which extrusion you want, which part you want to extrude. Now you can, for example, select this one, and then you can create another rectangle. So let's delete this, and then it is going to ask you, do you want to delete the sketches, like you're deleting the extrusion, but you want to delete the sketches? Yes, I want to delete everything. So now let's do the same thing from scratch. Click on New Sketch, select XY plane. Let's use this option this time. Create a rectangle, drag it around and so that it's centered in the screen, and then select the point. That's our rectangle here. Let's finish 2D sketch, and now the rectangle again is created. So now again we're going to extrude. Let's say this time it's 15 millimeters, but I realize that 15 millimeters is okay, but I want it to be longer. Now I can click on 2D sketch. Notice that these two lines are colored with purple, bluish purple color, which means that they are not constrained, which means that they can move in the space. There's no specific dimension assigned to it. So I can drag it, and then I can say finish sketch, and it will update the extrusion accordingly. Again, I can double click on 2D sketch, I can move this up, and then it will update it accordingly. So that's why the sketches are extremely important. We can always use revolve feature or the other 3D modeling features in Inventor to create 3D objects, and by using sketches, we can modify them in the sketch mode. So let's create another sketch on top of this design that we created, which is Extrusion 2, created based on Sketch 2. Now let's click on Start 2D Sketch and click on the surface. And now double click the middle scroll wheel on your mouse. It is centered on the screen. Now right click. Let's say this time we select center point circle. And now we can just create a circle in the middle and then finish 2D sketch. Now notice that it is asking us again, what do you want to do with this sketch? This sketch is sitting by itself here. There is no extrusion assigned to it. Let's extrude that. Now it is automatically selecting it, and now it remembers that the last distance that we used to extrude it was 15 millimeters. Now it is again using that, which we can again modify by let's change it to 5 millimeters. Now the second extrusion is created. It named the first one extrusion 2 because we deleted the first one, and then named the after one, the one after that is extrusion 3. Then the sketch 3 is consumed by extrusion 3. Sketch 2 is consumed by extrusion 2. So now let's change this concept a little bit. Let's delete this extrusion. Let's create another sketch on the same surface. Double click, centered on the screen. Now let's create two sketches here. One here and then one here. And then click OK, finish 2D sketch. Now, when I click on extrude, it's not going to automatically extrude it because there are two options this time. Which one do you want to extrude? You can select this one and then click OK. But notice that in the sketch, the other circle you put here, that is still there. You just didn't use it. That's why the sketches are extremely important to design any 3D object you want to design.